Okay, so we're talking about types of angles. Okay, so as we look at this exam, this finally brings in a little bit of rigor into the problems, because so far all I've been doing is looking at triangles and saying, what kind is it? Is it a right triangle? Is it an acute triangle? Is it isosceles? Is it equilateral? This one is now starting to use some of those properties that go with the definition of the types of triangles. Specifically, this question talks about isosceles. So let's first say, what does isosceles mean? How many sides are the same length in an isosceles triangle? Okay, well, then the first part of the lesson would help. It's okay. Isosceles, yeah. In an isosceles triangle, and that's a really terrible drawing, you have two sides the same length. So this question is going off of that. It says, suppose in an isosceles triangle, it has two equal sides given by 5x minus 12.4 and 3x plus 8.2. So what they mean by that is you have an isosceles triangle, and we know that means it has two congruent sides. Specifically, they are the side length 5x minus 12.4 and 3x plus 8.2. Now, anytime we see those x's, we go, okay, we're probably going to have to solve an equation here. So when we have to solve an equation, we look to properties. It says, and its unequal side, so the side that's not the same as the others, has a length of 3x plus 10. What is the length of the unequal side? Well, some people would write down 3x plus 10, but you can't do that. Okay, you have to find the actual number length. So when we, again, in geometry class, when they give us numbers with x's in them, it means we're going to have to use a property to set up an equation. All right, so we would go, okay, what does isosceles mean? It means we have two sides the same length, and those two sides are length 3x plus 8.2 and 5x minus 12.4. What equation can I set up, knowing that these two are the same length? What equation can I set up and then solve to find out what x is? So again, you go off of a property. Okay, what do we know about those two sides? Do they add to equal something? Are they equal to each other? What can we do here? Hopefully, in your mind, you were saying, well, we know they're equal. So that's exactly the equation we're going to set up, is that they are equal to one another. Isosceles, it said they're equal sides, so that's what we set up, is that they're equal. Make that a little bit bigger so we can see it a little better. So we know those two are equal, so we set up, well, 3x plus 8.2 has to equal 5x minus 12.4. And we solve from there. Okay. So, any tips for me on solving this equation? What do I need to do? Okay, so when we're solving an equation, we want the x's on the same side. So this 3x, I'm going to move over to the other side. So I'll subtract 3x, and I have to do on the same on the other side of the equation, which gives me 8.2 equals 5x minus 3x is 2x minus 12.4. Okay, from there we need to get x all by itself. I would actually see how the x's are on this side, so we want to move everything away from x now. If I had moved the 5 over here, then I would move the 8.2. But since my x's are over here, I want to move the 12.4 because it's with the x's. So it's minus 12.4, so I'm going to add 12.4 to both sides. And you can start with either thing on that first step. We could have started with either, moving the 3 or the 5. Okay, that gives me that 2x equals 20.6. All right, and now I have one final step. I have 2x equals 20.6, and I want to solve that for x. So I have 2 times the x, so I would do the opposite of that and divide both sides by 2. And I have my answer for x. Now, is that the answer to my question? Is that what they asked for? It's not. It's a necessary step. It's something I had to do anyways. But no, they want to know what's the length of the unequal side. So the unequal side, it said, was length 3x plus 10. Now that I know x is 10.3, I can come here and replace the x in that unequal side with a 10.3, and I can find the length of that unequal side. Okay, so we just make sure you put it into the unequal side because that's the one they're looking for. They didn't want to know the length of the congruent sides. You just replace the x with a 10.3 and go from there. So first you would do 10.3 times 3, which gives you 30.9, and then you add 10. So my answer, my correct answer is 40.9 would be the length of that unequal side. So again, they gave us some expressions with x in them. We used the property of an isosceles triangle to set up an equation, and then we solved it for x and put it back in to find what they were looking for.